welcome back to Litigation Help. My name is Heather Litwin, and today we're going to talk about the use of AI in drafting contracts. And I guess we're going to talk about ChatGPT today. And joining me here is our regular guest, Samuel Michaels. Welcome back, Sam.
Hi, Heather. Thanks for having me. Really excited to be back and discussing, I think, one of my favorite topics in law, which is the ever-changing world of our legal industry and how technology is kind of disrupting and changing things. So
Oh,
looking forward
always
to
good.
getting into it.
Well, I'm so glad you're back. It's been ages, actually. So, yeah. So, Sam,
Absolutely.
I was actually playing around with ChatGPT the last few days, just kind of pretending to draft a contract and everything. Anyway, yeah, I thought it looked really good. I just thought, oh, what could go wrong, kind of thing. But yeah, so let's just to start us off, how is ChatGPT being discussed in the legal community these days?
Yeah, I think this is sort of why I wanted to talk about this today overall, because it's one of those things that the conversation I think is kind of getting away from the product, is kind of becoming a larger conversation about sort of law, about our own insecurities as lawyers, about the direction of the profession and monetization of the practice of law, and using ChatGPT as kind of the center point, right, for all those discussions.
Mhm.
In reality, I think people are kind of starting to accept this is a new technology and it's going to be part of practice. With the same way that the computer replaced the typewriter, the same way that emailing and submitting your court documents online is fast and thankfully replacing submissions at the counter. Um, this is part of the change that is here, and will probably only expedite as we move forward. It will only sort of become more and more prevalent in the industry. That's, I think, the kind of reality of it. It's a tool. It's a new technology. It can do a lot more than some of our past technologies.
Mhm.
Do you need a human behind the controls? Somewhere or other, you do, right? You still either need somebody, the good people at OpenAI running ChatGPT, or you need, lawyers and people on the ground who are sort of making sure that everything that's being produced on the platforms or using an AI tool actually translates into the real world. So I don't think there's any future where there's no role for people in all this. But it's a different role, and there may be less roles. And I think we need to sort of be aware of that and be ready for it too, right? And that kind of gets back into what I was saying initially about, what is the conversation on the ground? I think the conversation is really about these larger points. I'm seeing articles that are saying like ChatGPT will never replace lawyers. I wouldn't count on that. Right? I wouldn't be so sure. And
Right.
I'm seeing other things saying, this is the death of the industry. I don't know if I would count on that either, right? I think the reality is probably somewhere in the middle.
Mhm.
Um, but I will say, I think these are good conversations to have. Like, I look at what's happening in the industry. You have more and more law schools. You have law school essentially being to a large extent commoditized and turned into an industry of its own. You have more and more lawyers. And on the other side of things, you have people who, we've been meeting for 10 years now talking about access to justice.
Mhm.
You still have people who can't find a lawyer. You still have all the
Mhm.
time, people are struggling to get legal help and get legal services. So I think to an extent, even though the industry and sort of the traditional mindset might not like it, maybe it's a good thing that these changes are happening, right? And maybe if these changes cause some tumultuous situations, right, for uh the traditional pillars of law,
Yeah.
maybe that needs to happen every once in a while, right? So I think overall, like it's something that we should be hopeful of and look at as something that can really help and improve things in the future. It's just a matter of it's not going to be taking everything you know now and are comfortable with and just making that, you're going to have exactly what you have now, just better. It
Yeah.
doesn't work like that. Right? As technology changes, the world changes as well. And we have to recognize that that improvement that might be an overall improvement is going to have kind of pain and change along the way. So we'll see how that all plays out and if any of that prediction proves accurate. But I think right now the discussion is definitely hot, and people I think are really coming to terms with what all this is going to mean for the industry.
Well, I remember there were some senior lawyers who did not want to use a cell phone. I
There
mean,
was a time. There was a time. Yeah.
so now how are your clients using ChatGPT?
Yeah, it's a range. And I think, that's where it's tough to be in the early days of new tech, right? It's a lot easier for us to know like how to use email, how to use a computer generally, right? Type up a Word document than to know how to use ChatGPT. And because we don't have that education built in because it's new, well, I don't
Right.
have that built in. My clients don't have it built in.
Yeah.
Um, I think what you're seeing is like, or what I'm seeing at least is like a little of everything. Right? Some people not using it at all that are like, I refuse, if I have something legal going on, my lawyer will take care of it. I'm
Right.
not doing this chat GPT thing.
Right.
And I have other people who are like, I'm just doing all of this on, chat GPT will just generate my contracts. It'll generate everything I need.
Yeah.
Give it a once over. Let me know if everything's kind of good to go. And then
Right.
everything along the spectrum in between, right? And you have, the good and the bad that comes with it. But I think hopefully as it becomes sort of more ingrained, people will start to see more of like where it makes sense, right? And where it can really be exploited and used for, you can cut down your time, you can cut
Yeah,
down
for sure.
your need for legal help. You can make the work processes easier. You can make contracts easier to understand. Like there's a lot of benefit. I think it's just a matter of like we have to get to a point where people have the time with it, right? What's the technology? 2 years old at this point, 3 years old, right?
Yeah.
So we still are a ways away from people having that familiarity to just know here's how to use it, right?
Yeah.
But I think we're getting there.
Yeah, that's true because this AI stuff, like it's about getting the right prompts. Getting you have to give it because sometimes you as a customer instead of a client, you may not realize the prompts you need. I think that's kind of like something that I realized, when I'm using AI for stuff that because there's that part that's coming from you, the user. And then the output, it's quite dependent on what you input. So you're right. I think there's a little bit of a learning curve. Oh, so let's stop talking about it. Why don't you show us maybe a demo of using ChatGPT to create a contract? Can you do that for us today?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'd love to, a big part of this is I want to kind of pull the curtain back and
Cool.
show people, right, like
Yeah.
how I'm actually using it.
Oh, that's
Um,
great. I'm excited.
so do you have it up on your screen now?
Yep, I can see it.
Okay, perfect. Um, yeah, so, I think like all things in law, right? Like there's so
Yeah.
much like mystique held around it of like how do lawyers practice and what are the templates they use and how do they do
Yeah.
things. And I think one of the hopes I have for this technology is kind of unbundling some of that, right? And I can tell you, like even in my practice, like it's a challenge for me to get information about pieces of law that if there's something new or novel to me. Fortunately, through yourself and your network, like there are some great lawyers and some other people I've met along the way. And I can tell you, like I've met hundreds of lawyers, and there's a handful that I'll go to and ask a question or ask for a precedent or something like that. For the most part, lawyers are pretty secretive about what they're willing to share and disclose.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
and some of that I think can't be tackled by ChatGPT, but in other ways, like there is something you can get to yourself that used to kind of be quote unquote paywalled behind the law firm, right? And I'll show you how I'm using it right now.
Okay.
And the big thing, it's a tool to kind of it's a word processing tool, right? Like it has a library of language of
Right.
essentially for our purposes, clauses, precedents, legal articles. It has all this material that it's generating from, and then looking at your prompt and generating something based on that library that it thinks, is going to be the correct right, response or the most common response to what you're actually inputting. So keeping that in mind, if you're looking for a clause, let's say I'm looking for some sort of bizarre clause, some sort of word that only lawyers use. And this is the example from this week. I need a time of the essence clause. What does that mean, right? Time of the essence. But I know that with this type of question, in all the resources that ChatGPT has access to,
Yeah.
it's got a time of the essence clause. It's
Right.
got one in there. So I know that when I generate this, there's a very high likelihood. I'm a good lawyer. I won't guarantee anything, but there's a very high likelihood that this is going to be an accurate clause, right?
Right. Right.
And by the same token, I can ask it, what is a time of the essence
Oh,
clause?
right. Yeah.
So if I'm a client, right, and I get a contract back from somebody, and it's like
Right.
you need to add this basic language,
Right.
or you need to tell me if this language is okay.
Yeah.
I can go online and I can go on ChatGPT and I can get these answers, and it's a pretty good answer. And you can see some of the past work I've done here,
Mhm.
right? So if I need like a basic calculation, if I need a basic type of template, I can get these from ChatGPT. It's going to
Mm.
generate like a pretty decent version of it for me. Like anything good in life, there's the catch. It's not foolproof. And I'm going
Okay.
to get into that. But I really wanted to highlight that, for these short and sweet things, and
Right.
I think this is really like the place where ChatGPT works well. You have like a nice, like quick, I need just this type of clause. I need this type of calculation. Something that is going to exist in an objective format in the information that ChatGPT is drawing from. It's going to be pretty good.
Okay.
Where it's not going to work as well is when you start going outside the library that ChatGPT is drawing from. So if
Mm.
I'm asking it about my own case,
Mm.
if I'm litigating and I'm
Hmm.
asking it about my case doesn't exist in the library.
Right.
My case is new. Maybe there's a case that's 99% similar, but it's not my case.
Right.
And ChatGPT is not designed to
Mm.
interpret its
Mm.
library to answer questions about your case.
Mhm.
It's just not in the software. It's not part of what it
Mhm.
does. So it will give you an answer because what it does, as we said before, it's
Mhm.
giving you what it thinks is the correct answer to your prompt. It says,
Mhm.
here's the library, here's the prompt, here's what I think should be produced based on my library and the prompt.
Mhm.
So it'll give you an answer. It'll
Mhm.
tell you something, but
Mhm.
it's not actually telling you about your case.
Mhm.
Right. And to give, a more concrete example of that, if you put in, I feel like my co-founder, this other shareholder, has been has been abusive to me. They've been mistreating me. They've been withholding the minute book, the share certificates. I don't know what's happening at the company. What type of claims do I have against them? ChatGPT will make up things that don't exist. It will say,
Wow.
the tort of fiduciary breach or whatever. It'll say things that sound like legal words, right? Because that's what it's doing. It's compiling from its library. It knows that you're an offended shareholder. It knows that you're asking about types of claims. It has some information about shareholders and about types of claims. So it
Mhm.
has enough to give you an answer. But all it's doing is aggregating the information. It's not actually looking at your claim. It's not
Mhm.
reviewing your claim, right? It's not,
Mhm.
coming up with an interpretation. It's just looking at the words it knows and saying, here's how we compile them in a way that would make sense as an answer to this prompt.
Mhm.
So that's where I think, you can really run into trouble. So if you ask ChatGPT to produce your contract,
Mhm.
right? Again, it doesn't know your transaction. It
Mhm.
doesn't know your situation. Maybe it's done other service agreements. There's other service agreements in its library. There's other shareholder agreements in its library, whatever it is. But it doesn't have the shareholder agreement for what's happening with you, right? It
Mhm.
doesn't have the service agreement for what's happening with you. It can get close. It can aggregate from based on what it has, but you're never really going to know from ChatGPT, like, is this right for me? Because
Mhm.
ChatGPT doesn't know. It doesn't know if it's actually right for you, right? It's not even
Mhm.
trying to produce that. I think that's kind of the education gap that we are going to get to, right? That people, as they use it more, will start to understand, like, okay, this is not actually advising me. It's not actually looking at my situation and responding, right? It's just aggregating what it has into a way that's sensible. And for a clause for a specific thing, a one-off calculation, a one-off line of code that you need, for simple things when you're just drawing from its existing resources, it's
Hmm.
amazing. But
Right.
if you're asking it to interpret things for you, to come up with opinions for you, to come up with decisions for you, it doesn't do that. You might as well be asking your, Microsoft Word to do that, right? Because it's just not going to happen. So
Interesting.
that's kind of, the guide point for me of like, if I have a question that I know answer is out there, I just don't have it. I just don't have this clause handy, right? It's not in my library or whatever it is. But
Hmm.
I know that the clause is out there. ChatGPT is good. If it's a new thing, if I'm addressing something that actually requires, interpretation, right? And thinking through context and thinking through circumstance, it's going to have pieces of what you need, but it's not going to have the whole picture for you.